This is Kelly Hill, Executive Editor of RCR Wireless News. I'm here at PCTel's Germantown, Maryland facility with CEO David Neumann. And David, why don't you give us a little bit of an introduction to PCTel and what you guys do, and maybe a little bit about what you do here?
Sure, be happy to. So PCTel, we have two segments, the test and measurement business, which is based here in Germantown. And then we're also a manufacturer for antennas for both the infrastructure and for IoT. And we could talk a little bit about IoT devices as well. Here in Germantown, we manufacture RF scanning receivers that the operators use basically to confirm coverage, look for interference. If you've ever seen the maps, the Verizon coverage or AT&T coverage, those are done with our scanning receivers. The headquarters is in Bloomingdale. That's where our antenna business is. And there's really four areas that we focus on. Small cell antennas for 4G mainly right now, Wi-Fi and enterprise Wi-Fi specifically, industrial, which is more the industrial IoT space, and then fleet and mass transit systems.
Okay, great. So let's talk a little bit about industrial IoT. You mentioned antennas. Talk to me about how you guys are strategizing and thinking about that market.
So industrial IoT really has a play in both the businesses.
Okay.
So in the antenna business, we manufacture antennas for the infrastructure. So small cell antennas to talk to devices, enterprise Wi-Fi antennas to communicate with devices.
Okay.
But then we also have a group that design antennas for individual sensor or devices.
Okay.
Probably 6 months ago, we announced our new office in Akron, Ohio. It's a wireless product development center. And it's really focused on Wi-Fi applications and IoT devices. We think IoT is going to be huge. Anytime a customer can increase their efficiencies or productivity using a wireless device versus sending a truck roll out for a pipeline or for a power line, it just adds a lot of efficiencies and saves a lot of costs. Now on the test and measurement side, we have our scanning receivers, which are all software-defined radios.
Yeah.
So yes, they'll do 3G, 4G, and they will do 5G. But we've also added a narrowband IoT application that can be loaded on the scanning receivers that are in the market today.
Okay.
So we provide antenna solutions, we provide device integration, development, antennas for the devices themselves, and then we also provide the test tools to test the network.
Okay. Okay, now you mentioned 5G. So let's talk about, what you guys are sort of thinking about when it comes to 5G and development, and also, how you're addressing sort of the steps between where we are now and 5G.
Well, 5G and test and measurement, of course, is very important because anytime there's a technology change, you need new test and measurement equipment. Now with 5G, we're going to have the sub-6 gigahertz version, and our scanning receivers that are out in the market today will be upgradable to support 5G.
Okay.
Now there's some limitations with bandwidth, but yes, they'll support sub-6 5G.
Okay.
Now what gets a lot more press and a lot more attention is the millimeter wave applications for 5G.
Absolutely.
We are designing a new scanning receiver. It's called the HB Flex. In our last earnings call, we talked about it a little bit, and that unit will go up to 40 gig.
Okay.
So we'll be able to do 5G testing, initially spectrum clearing for 5G applications, and then start decoding some of the messages. And the operators will use those to deploy some of the early systems. Now, when is that going to roll out? Of course, we'd like it to roll out sooner rather than later. We think there'll be some systems, as the operators have announced, late 2018. But most likely mid-2019 and beyond is when we'll see more business in the test and measurement side.
And you guys have also recently added, license-assisted access. Talk a little bit the radio environment is getting more complex in 4G as well.
Right.
How are you guys supporting that?
Well, for as much press as 5G gets, it's not going to be a step function where 4G goes away and 5G starts. So 4G is going to be around for a long time. Some of the versions, 4.9, not quite 5. LAA is a good example where we're using licensed and unlicensed spectrum. Our scanning receivers, the upgrade just came out, I think, in a couple weeks ago. So again, customers that are out there that need to aggregate spectrum, employing LAA, they'll be able to take their scanning receivers, add the LAA testing feature, and be ready to go. So we have a lot of features, a lot of products in development for 4G, so we're not going to give up on 4G to go to 5G. And the 5G scanners will all be backward compatible. So they'll work with 5G, 4G, maybe even GSM. So yes, put a lot of effort into 4G systems, and we'll continue to do so.
Okay, great. Can you talk a little bit about interference hunting? I know that that's something that you and I talked about a little bit today, and this is a new area of focus for you guys.
Yeah. So with the new bands coming online, more and more devices, the density of networks, interference becomes a real issue. So it's been maybe a year and a half or so, and we developed an interference hunting solution. So it's we call it C-Wave. It's a directional antenna tied to an application that's on an Android tablet, and basically allows the engineers to see the spectrum. If there is interfere in a location, they take this out. It's very ergonomic. It hooks to an existing scanning receiver, and the engineer can then sweep the area, pinpoint the direction of where the interference is coming from, do that from a couple places, and then they can triangulate on that interfere. So 4G has interference issues, 5G will have interference issues. Interference isn't going away.
Yeah.
So we think it's very important not only to develop the hardware and the scanning receivers, but the applications that can run with the scanners for specific needs like interference hunting.
Okay. Great. Well, David, thank you so much for the time today. Appreciated the tour and appreciated all your time speaking to us today.
Great. Thanks, Kelly.